Greetings. This is the second half of tonight's binge watch on a Sunday week from the last one. But the one that I was doing was I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's been a while since. But this was The Butcher's Knife Cares Not for the Lamb. The tonight's two episodes. Context for Kings and then this one, which is like kind of like the Lamb. A long title. I assume that's also from something other than Star Trek. Lore of the Tardigrades game thrown in there. Yes, we figure out what the creature is. It's a macro tardigrade, and the captain wants to make a weapon out of it, to weaponize it, and which is of course going to be a disaster, and Burnham wants to study it. So they're trying to figure out how to make the what is essentially the Kal Kat. Back in the Silly Track and Cillian saga, back in a role-playing game thing, we had these sort of Lovecraftian critters called Kal Kats. And before we knew that it was from something. And we had these like the mouth machines and eyeball machines with tentacles, and they would come out. So, and they would be vicious to Kirk and Spock, and they would destroy the transporter room, and it would be like, this is like the role-playing game back in the 80s. So that was one of the critters they encountered on the planet. Flying one and an eyeball one and a toothy one. So the Kal Kats of Kilava 4. This is essentially kind of like that, except in this case they figured out how to communicate with it and to have it take the support drive. There was a Corvin colony was under attack, and they had to go to stop the attack. And the first time they tried the support drive, they ended up in orbit of an O-type star, which looked for some reason not blue but reddish. Then they got away from that, and then the security officer got killed trying to like force the critter to do something for her, and it was kind of gory. It was cool. And then there was and then Burnham figured out how to communicate with it using the devices from the other ship that they left behind, that they salvaged. They figured out it had a connection to the mycelium drive, the mycelium drive. Yeah. Not the same thing though. In Cillian space, it's referencing not spores, but more like Q powers, Qt powers. Sort of like they have the realm as the Q powers. They go in there and their thoughts create reality, that kind of thing. A little different. But yeah, different enough that, no, they weren't taking from Silly Track. Although, if Nicholas Meyer did have something to do with this, that might be where he got it. That might be where we got it too. Who knows? Anyway, so, in Fuller, of course, yes, before he left. The tardigrade creature does look like an update version of the one from that game. That's also the redheaded girl, the black captain, first officer lady, the Stamets, who's named after Stamets, a famous mold expert. It's odd that he would have, the guy would be named that, just because it's sort of like naming somebody Elon Musk. They referenced that in there. It would be like, oh, we just happen to meet Hawking or something. It'd be like weird, like on the ship. Yeah, because he's around. Because sure, big celebrity. And apparently there's a sympathetic gay character on the ship, possibly the Doctor. I have already looked ahead to some of the characters, so I know who they all are. Stamets might also be in on that. Doesn't look like Lorca is, though. Looks like he's straight, but he's just weird. He was behaving less evil this time. But of course, him playing Mr. Draco, Malfoy's dad in Harry Potter, did not just enamor him of typecasting. In this movie, not Draco's dad. That is Eric Isaacs. But yeah, the doing an American accent. Well, the acting is it's all right. It's not bad. Tilly's character rushes through her dialogue a little too quickly, though. I think they probably have done. Yeah. I think she's she autistic or something, maybe. I don't know. No, that's fine. I think she's just probably just hyper, more or less, in the character. Yeah. Yeah. So she's basically like the hyperactive redhead from various other stories. Very stereotypical character, bright-eyed, ambitious sort of person, a Sicilian, basically. And Stamets is, of course, a Sicilian, who is controlling the drives and stuff. It looks vaguely like Marlowe Fakir from Transtech. Not the same guy, though. But, yeah, it was alright. The B story was the torchbearer of the Klingons getting assigned to salvaging what's left of the Shinzau and finding advice on the Shinzau, the computer core, but they went to the engine room to get it. Yeah, engine room. And he goes there, so we have Vok and Laurel, I guess those are their names, and they're down there, and then they take the part from him, and they basically disown him. So he's got to go to this planet, the Maclesian colony. I guess that's what the word was. It's Klingon, of course. Blah, 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 blah. And he will lose everything when he gets there. So, whatever that means. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's the butcher's knife cares not for the slaughter lamb. Fourth episode of Discovery so far into the thing. The Blu-rays contain 4 episodes on each disc. You'd think they could have 5, but they have 4. I guess there's some extras on there. I'll watch the extras later. I don't need to really binge watch the extras, review those. Yeah, I just didn't binge watch until like a week and 2 weeks later. I just didn't get around to it. So now I'm back to watching 2 episodes of Discovery, and that was the one for the evening. So there. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Burnham gets a gift from the Last Testament of Captain Georgios, and I called it. It was a telescope. Literally, like it was weird. I was like watching the episode. I didn't know, I didn't know, and I'm like, it's a telescope. So it's a telescope. I don't know. Yeah, didn't see any pictures or any advance of that. I guess judging by the size of the box and it's some kind of space thing. Telescope. Anyway, so yeah.